Hey y'all, it's Betsy with Happily Ever After Etc. and welcome back to another Cricut project. So today we are working on a Christmas project. Christmas project? Today we're working on a Cricut Christmas project. Specifically this garland that you see all over my beautiful new tree. I just put it up. You can check out the entire video. It is brand new from King of Christmas and I love it. It is such an upgrade from my old tree. But because it is an upgrade, I knew I was going to need a bit more things to fill the tree. The old tree I had in here was a 5-foot tree. It was skinny, it was apartment style. This is a beautiful 7.5-foot fir tree. It is much bigger. And I didn't want to go out and spend a much bigger budget on filling it this year. I would rather fill it organically with things I love over time, or at the very least, things at the end of Christmas sale. And since I only had one ribbon and a slender garland that Mom and I made a few years ago, I will put all of that down below. I knew I needed a bigger garland or ribbon to add to the background of the tree. I decided I wanted to make that out of felt. I wanted embroidery to be involved. I really wanted to embroider really intricate ornaments, and I'm still going to do that for a garland in my living room. But that garland will only need 5 to 7 pieces. I ended up doing 48 of these for this tree, so Mom convinced me, thank you Mom, that in that case, simpler was better on the tree. They would look more uniform. They would look more like a garland and they wouldn't be as busy. They would also be easier. Even with easier, it took us about a week to make all 48 and to put them on the garland. But I love how they turned out. So we cut them out of felt with our Cricut. We will head into Cricut Design Space in a minute. I took all of these shapes from Cricut Access, the library. So they are all free shapes that you can use if you have the Access library. They're very simple ornaments, gingerbread men, gingerbread houses. The candy cane and the rocking horse are probably the most intricate. They have the smallest little passages like with the legs and the candy cane. But overall, I ended up with 12 shapes, 6 ornaments, and 6 more organic shapes like the gingerbread man or the house. So 12 shapes in total. 4 sets of each. 3 sets of each? I think 4. I started with 3 and then I had to make an extra set. I love how they turned out. We added beads to each of them, pink, white, and rose gold beads. And then I did a few of these glitter felt pieces. Y'all, let's get started. I'm going to show you the entire process, start to finish. I hope you really enjoy this project. Of course, mine are pink, cream, and white because that is what worked with this tree in this room. It's felt. You could easily do a traditional red and green felt or a blue and white felt, whatever colors will work with your tree in your house. You could adapt this project very easily just by selecting different color felts and different color beads. I would say that all in all, between buying all of the felt and the beads and the cord was $4.99 for 75 feet. Did the entire tree. I made 8 9-foot garlands. Yes. 7-foot garlands. I'll put it on the screen. I don't remember. But either way, it was 75 feet and I had at least 10 feet left over. So pretty sure they were 7 feet garlands. Then I had to buy the felt and I bought the beads. I bought white seed beads, pink seed beads, and the rose gold beads. They were about $2 a piece for all the beads. So that's $6. The felt itself was 25 cents. I ended up buying 20 pieces of the cream and 10 of the pink with 4 of the white glitter kind of felt. So all in all, if I add everything up, the entire project was about $20 to $25 if you count some of the things I had on hand, like I had the white felt on hand. But again, I used 7 pieces of white felt, 25 cents a piece. That's less than $2. So for 8 long garlands with 4.5 inch garland pieces, ornaments, that's not bad. Let's head into Cricut Design Space. We're going to get started by cutting these. Of course, if you don't have a Cricut, you could easily cut all these felt shapes by hand, but that will take you significantly longer. It took about 2 hours to cut all 48 shapes 3 times because they are 3 layers thick. For me, Mom had said she did a similar project when she was younger without the beads, and it took her days to cut all of the felt pieces. Cricut for the win. Let's go. Start by opening a brand new canvas, and we're going to go into images. Now within images, you can go ahead and search for Christmas shapes, specific things like rocking horses, ornaments, candy canes. I have already gone through and bookmarked quite a few. Now this one here I've bookmarked for a different project. You can see it has a lot of little different icons within that shape. And for this project, we are cutting our main pieces out of felt. We want large, easily recognized shapes. So things that are going to be very simple to cut out of felt. We've got some stars, a Christmas tree, a stocking, some ornament shapes, a candy cane, a rocking horse, and a gingerbread. So we are going to add these all to our canvas, and then we are going to simplify them, meaning once we get them all added to the canvas here, we are going to make them one image, not layers. So let me get these all added and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay. Oh, sorry. Don't make it. we didn't want to do that. We wanted to actually go just to our canvas where we've added all these. Perfect. So you can see right now they are a big jumble. They are all just, different. Some are layers, some are cutouts, some are different colors. So we're going to separate these out, and one at a time, we are going to simplify them down to their most basic outline, like this tree. This is what we are looking for. And then once they are all done, we will size them all to anywhere between 3 to 5 inches. So for this stocking, I'm going to remove the top portion because I'm adding a loop. Physically, I don't need one virtually. And then I'm going to just weld the stocking into one layer, one basic layer, because I do not need him to be 2 separate layers. So here's my question with that. I'm going to go ahead and make them both the same color because I do need them to weld into one layer. I do not need them to be cut in between at all. So I'm not sure why there's still a line between them there. That's better. I made them one color and now it is one shape. That is what we are looking for. So with this star, I love the cutouts. They are beautiful, but if we tried to cut that all out of felt, that would be hard. So I'm going to create an offset. And now we just have our basic star shape. Perfect. Let's look into the candy cane here. Yep, and I was hoping we just have a basic candy cane at the back. So we are looking for basic shapes here. Now again, with these, they are adorable, but we actually do not want the cutouts for these as well. It's just a little too much. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of making an offset that makes it bulkier, for these, I'm going to go ahead and just take a basic shape. I'm going to cover those cutouts. I want to make them the same color. And now I'm going to weld them. There you go. Goodbye shapes. Perfect. I'm also going to go ahead and slice off the top portion because I don't think I want this kind of bobbly shape. So I'm just going to take a large oval and kind of make that curve match. Slice it right off, and now we have our most basic shape. We're going to continue doing that for the rest of these. For this little horse, I do think we're going to have to create an offset. We can. Nope, we're going to have to merge them. So, similar to our other shape, we're just going to build this up, and it's not going to look pretty at first, but that's okay. It will all come together in the end. So, we're just going to take some blocks. They're going to cover all of the spaces that are openings here, except for, of course, what we want. So let's get a circle. Perfect. Now, if I were to take this, make it all one color, and weld it, you'll see it all goes into one layer. And we're just going to continue until she's all one piece. So I will be back in just a moment with all of these pieces finished. Ta-da! All right, so now we have 12 simple shapes. We need to unify them a little bit. So first of all, we are going to make them all 3 inches tall. I don't think this is going to work as a group, but we'll try it. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So let's see. 3 inches. 3 inches. 3 inches. And of course, you can make yours bigger or smaller, but you just want to make sure that they're all the same. And we can always make different sizes as well. I think 3 inches is probably decent for a standard size Christmas tree. After making mine all 3 inches, I might actually do like 4, 4.5. But I'm working with standard 8.5 by 11 sheets of felt. So it's all going to depend on how many fit on each sheet of felt. And we are going to put a secondary layer on these. So we'll do that before deciding on the finished size. So let's make all the front sizes here one color. And then I am going to align them just to make it a little easier to look at. This is just a little OCD. You definitely do not have to do this step. I just find when you're trying to fit them onto your felt pieces and deciding how many you're going to cut of each size and shape, having them organized a little bit does help. At least if you're a visual person like I am. All right, so now we've got everything the same size and color. We are ready. We are going to add our offsets. So up here under offset, You can see that this is going to add a 1/2 inch offset to each piece. Perfect. That is just about what we want. Now, if we click on one of these offsets, oh, it made them all different levels. Of course it did. So I think it will be easier to make each offset individually than to splice them. Perfect. So now we can see that our outside layers are about 3.5 inches tall, which makes sense. 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. We are going to go ahead and see what this looks like if we just send one of each to our cutting mats here. We're going to say that they are say 9 by 12. That's going to get quite a few on here. We may need to move some of these down to that second sheet. 'Cause remember, even though I did select 9 by 12, well now it's letting me pick 8.5 by 11. I wonder why it wasn't the first time. Just wasn't showing up. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. So now we know everything will cut in the configuration that it has. And that is pretty decent. We'll have an amount left over here. So I think we'll stick with this size. We can always make some a little bigger or some a little smaller for the second round. I think I'm going to make 5 or 6 garlands. So let's go ahead, send this to the Cricut. I'm using my Maker 3. I'm going to be cutting felt, so you will need a machine that can cut through felt or fabric. Most of them do. The Explorer Air 2 and 3 aren't as good as the Maker and Maker 3, but they are still decent. I'm going to select felt here, and then I am going to do more pressure. It is going to select the fine point blade, but I like to switch it to the rotary blade. I just think that gives you a cleaner cut with your felt. So let's head over to the Maker and I will show you how to load all of that. All right, y'all. So we are working with just standard felt from the craft store. Of course, Cricut does make felt. I've used their felt. It's glorious. It is a little thicker, so it cuts really nicely, more like a backed felt, but it is a bit more expensive. And when we're doing such a large scale project, you know, we need like 10, 12 sheets of one color. This is just more cost effective. So I'm going to put it on a fabric grip mat. I use my brayer here to make sure it is firmly pressed down so that it cuts nicely. Perfect. Now I do have my rotary blade already put in, like I showed you. I just find that the rotary blade cuts a little smoother and a little easier than the fine point blade, especially with non-backed felt. So that is my preference. Since of course we're cutting 4 shapes out, it goes pretty easy. I also did find that this is 9 by 12 felt, not 8.5 by 11. So I had to go back and adjust that. Let's go ahead and hit cut and watch it work. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Now, felt actually comes off pretty easily, but we'll still go slow. Reveal those pretty shapes. Gorgeous. Now we will pull our ornaments up. We're good to go, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting. Of course, we'll have to do all of our light color. These are the backs, the dark black offset layer that we made. And then I have a pink layer that will be the top layer. Then we will have to make a second layer of all of these because they need to be sewn together. So we technically need 2 of these. All right. Meet y'all once they're all cut out. All right, y'all, so we have everything cut out, and now I'm going to show you how to put them together. As you can see, I have done all but one. So we have our top layer, our 2 back layers, and together we have larger put together pieces. We've also added beads to the front, and they're really cute. So I've done 3 in the pink pattern way, and then 1 in this kind of felted glitter pattern way, just for a little variety. And I have found that the easiest way to do it is to start by adding our beads to the front layer. So I have grabbed some seed beads, and I've done some pink, some white, although they're kind of a pearly kind of shine. And then some with these really cute rose gold beads. So typically I tried to add about 3 of the larger beads and then the smaller clusters all over. And I've done about half pink and about half white, so that even on the tree, there will be a little bit of variety. So adding the beads, even if you're not a sewer, none of this is hard. Start by just adding my larger beads. I'm just using a small beading needle here. And we're just literally going to sew these on to the front. Hardest part is keeping your thread from getting all knotted, especially doing this on camera. There we are. So from here, we'll just add our smaller beads. And I add either 2 or 3 of the smaller seed beads just to make them stand out. Making sure to keep your string tight so that all the beads are tight. All the way down. Okay, girls, can you go play squeaky toy somewhere else? Princess just brought one of her new toys in here. Like, she is so proud of herself, you know? Mom, I got a squeaky toy. Do you want to play with me? Of course I do, my love, but I'm busy. As you can tell, I've been sewing for a couple days now. This is not a hard project, but I will not lie and tell you it is a quick project. I have done, this is my 48th one of these because I want to make 8 garlands for my big 7.5 foot tree. Of course, if you don't need as many garlands, it will go faster. But even though it hasn't been fast, it hasn't been bad. I've watched all 4 seasons of Emily in Paris, which was adorable. So, pretty relaxing time all in all. And there you go. We're just going to keep going all the way down to the bottom of the boot. All right, so once all the beads are sewn on, we'll take our other 2 backing layers. Now originally I was thinking to stuff these, and that's why I'd done a front layer and then the 2 back layers so that I could stuff in between these layers. But some of these would have been very difficult to stuff, like the candy cane. Like, where would the stuffing have gone in there? And because it is 3 layers of felt, not fabric, it is pretty darn stiff and put together once it's together. And the whole point of stuffing it is just so that it's thick enough to hang nicely on the tree. So we went ahead and we just went with 3 layers of felt. I think it is more than enough to be beautiful on the tree. So once we have finished sewing our beads on and we've put all 3 of our layers together, I'm going to go ahead and do a running stitch just around the outside of the pink layer here. So you want it to be right around the outside of that pink. Now that leaves a bit of a gap between the top layers. That glitter felt is adorable, but it does catch on everything at the top. See, it's not sewn strictly together. So that is where we will attach our actual cord for the garland portion. But let me go ahead, finish stitching this. You will either want to use pins to hold it in place, or I have found that it's easy enough to just kind of hold it still, hold it steady as you're sewing, unless you get it cut on beads like I just did. It is a pretty quick process since these are simple, easy shapes, to just go ahead and sew all the way around. Of course, this is what my mom calls a poke and stitch instead of a true running stitch, since unlike fabric, we can't gather up our felt to do, you know, 3 or 4 stitches in one go, but that's okay. It's still, none of this is hard, none of this is difficult. It is simply tedious. When you are doing 48 of anything, it's going to take a minute. And I did enlist my mom's help in a lot of this, even though, like last night, I went over to her house, we watched a couple episodes. I sewed 8 of these sparkly ones and 1 pink felt piece. She sewed 5 of the pink felt ones. Typically, my mom is a much faster sewer than I am, so she's fallen down on the job a little bit. But there you go. In an hour and a half, I sewed 8 or 9. I keep thinking 8. She sewed 5. Of course, if you are a more beginner level sewer than even I am, I would say I'm intermediate. My mom's typically pretty darn advanced. It might take you longer, but you can do it. All right, I'm gonna finish this baby. I'll be right back. All done. So you can see she's complete. And now I'm going to go ahead and add her to our garland. And I've started adding a few. This is a very simple process. The whole project is simple. So I bought a length of cord for my actual garland. I wanted something thick enough to be visible on the tree and easy to attach in the same color scheme. So this was $5 for 75 feet. I went ahead and pre-cut them into 7-foot sections, and then I found the middle of that, and I'm adding my little ornaments every 9 inches. So we'll add our little stocking 9 inches over from our last ornament. So in order to do that, I'm simply taking my stocking, I'm gonna set this right there. There's our spot. And we're simply tacking the cord to the back. So I start by kind of putting my needle down and putting that knot right in the back center. Okay, now I'm going to add my cord. There's that middle. Perfect. I'm going around the cord with my thread because I need to tack it on. And now I'm just going to go above the cord into the felt. All right, like that. So I'm going to do that a couple times to secure it. Pull tight, going above the cord. Now the third pass, after I've done 2, it's fairly tight to the back. I actually take my needle and go through the cord instead of over the cord. And that really helps hold it in place. Perfect. All right. Now we're gonna just tie off our needle. And again, I like to go through the cord on the inside. Once, twice. Oop, don't catch the beads. Always a running problem. I'm gonna tie a knot. And we are set. So, of course, you could go through the front. That would make it even more sturdy, but this way the front layer kind of hides the back layer and we are all together. So because I have lengths of 7 feet, I am adding 6 ornaments to each one. My goal is, here's the last 2 for this one. We're gonna have 2 sparkly ones on half and 1 sparkly one on half. And then I'm alternating the pink and white beads, 2 and 2 on each. So I'm just gonna make each one a little different, have a little mix, so that when they're all on the tree, they're all mixed together. I don't want any kind of pattern. Of course, you could do a pattern, but this is how I think they'll look best. So give me a minute. I'm going to sew all of them and we will be done with this project.